All right, so the very first thing we're going to do is we are going to draw the horizon line for this landscape picture. So we want to make sure our paper is horizontal, meaning it's going up and down, or across, excuse me. And then we are going to draw a line about 2/3 of the way up from the bottom of our paper. As you see that line I'm drawing across my paper, that's the horizon line. It's where the earth and the ground touch. Then I'm going to start drawing some mountain shapes that are far off in the distance. So I drew a diagonal line up, a diagonal line down. Then I'm coming back up, back down, coming back up, and then back down. It doesn't go all the way across the horizon line, okay? These are mountains that are further away. Now, exactly on that horizon line, I'm going to draw some more mountains that are very, very small and kind of some wooded areas that's just going to go across that whole horizon line. Remember, the horizon line is where the sky and the ground meet. Okay? The sky and the ground meet. That will give us the depth that we want in our paper so it feels like things are far away and things are close up. So I'm going to draw it all the way across. Now you can see we have some larger and smaller things. Moving along, we're going to draw kind of a grassy bank that has a little bit of a shore. So on the right side of our paper, we're going to draw a horizontal line that comes across. It's about 2 to 3 inches out from the edge of our paper. Then we're going to draw some diagonal lines that extend up towards that horizon line and actually touch it or go across it. So they're a little bit taller than where that horizon line is. Now, before you start drawing every grass line, I'm just going to get the basic shape of where this grass is. So it should look something like this. So I have kind of this grassy area with this horizontal line, which is for the bank. Then I'm going to use my eraser and I'm going to erase those small little mountains that I drew previously. Underneath that grassy bank where that shore is, we're going to draw just a slight curve, not even really a Mona Lisa smirk, but it is a little bit of a smirk that goes underneath. It's going to kind of show us where the water is starting to touch that shore. I'm going to draw another line again. Now, things that are closer to us are going to be larger on our paper. So we had a swan in this vacation picture, which was just so beautiful that we're going to draw this egg shape, okay, which is really just kind of a big oval, if you will. And then we are going, this is going to be the wing for our swan. So I drew kind of this oval egg shape. Then I'm going to draw a line that comes up and curves around. So it's like an upside down J, if you will. So I have this egg shape for the wing and body, and then I have this upside down shape for the neck and the head. Then I'm going to draw just a small curve, and I'm going to start making the beak of my swan. Then I'm going to curve around and start coming towards that J shape and coming back, so it creates the head of my swan. It's not quite as flat as I thought it would be, so I'm going to extend that line up just ever so slightly, and then I'm going to come back to the neck and start curving around, running that line parallel to that first J shape that I did. As you can see, I'm connecting with a curve to that egg shape and then coming back down, just making those lines more smooth, really roughing out that shape for that neck and that head. So I should have this basic swan shape now. Decided to make that beak just a little bit bigger with another diagonal line coming down. From here, I'm going to go into the face and do that eye. So I'm going to draw kind of a curved line. Kind of looks like the start of an A. And then it's going to come back down and come towards the bottom of the face. So I have kind of that blackish shape that goes where the eye is on a swan. Then I'm going to curve ever so slightly to show where my shadow is on my neck. I'm roughing out that shape again of that head and neck just so I have a nice curve to the head and neck. Perfect. As I said, when you're creating depth, you want to make sure that you have items that are larger and smaller. So the swan is actually going to be one of our larger objects on this drawing because it is closest to us. Something that is close to us usually is larger and towards the bottom of our paper when we are looking. So I started the wing, and what I did was I am just curving around here, and then I'm going to take that curve and come back down towards the neck area. So it's curving and then comes pretty close to touching where that neckline started. Then I'm coming back down and curving out for that second wing shape. And it's curving around. It's not going all the way around. You noticed I came on the inside and I'm curving it around. So I'm leaving room for that swan tail at the end. Now I'm coming down on the bottom and creating that Mona Lisa smirk. And I created just a little bit of a divot where I came up like the top of an A, and I'm extending that line upwards at a diagonal, and then coming back down from a point so it creates that swan. So again, I'm just making some adjustments here and there, erasing the lines that I first started with to get that basic shape. So now I should have the swan in the front, the grassy bank, and then the mountains in the back. At the bottom of the swan, I'm creating small little curved lines for those rings of water. So it looks like our swan is kind of moving around. And I'm coming back out at a curve, as you can see, on either side of the swan. So it looks like it is moving across my paper. Notice as I get further out from the swan, I'm going to make those rings longer and more oblonged, okay, or extend them out. And don't forget around the back of the swan either, so it looks like it is really moving all of that water. So now we have a landscape drawing with our swan in the pond. These are the colors I'm going to be using. I'm using kind of a dark sepia tone color, like a dark brown would work for this. And I'm going across that horizon line and that bank along in some of the water spots. So we have nice dark shadows where there are dark spots. So you can kind of see them going around the rings of water, went around the bottom. Now I'm making the reflection of that swan, and then I'm also creating the body of the swan kind of in a dark shape there so it looks like it has a reflection. Remember that in any sort of water, you want to make sure that you have reflections that you can see in shadows. Notice that I added color to the wings and to the eye, so we have those dark spots. Now I'm going to go back to the sky. Start with kind of a darker blue and go in the darker spots and going towards the top, a little bit down in the middle, and then just a little bit at the bottom at that horizon line. Then I'm going to my white. I added my white in the areas that needed white, and then my kind of medium blue. So it kind of looks like those clouds are streaked across the sky, going back and forth between white, blue, and kind of my lighter blue. Now I'm going to go to my dark green and I'm going to lightly press on those mountains that I first started with. Then I'm going to use that dark green and go over that sepia brown tone that I started so I can see those really nicely. Then I'm using my white on that dark green for those larger mountains so it looks like they're kind of receding or going into the back, so they're not quite as easy to see as those dark green ones, but they are somewhat. I used a little bit of a dark sepia again on top of those mountains just to make them a little more clear, adding some touch-ups here and there. Now to the water. I added a white line to show some of those clouds. Then I'm making the reflections of the mountains there. I went to the grass and started making all of those grass lines. Now I'm using my dark green to go over those dark sepia brown lines that I had. And now I'm going to start my pond or river lake area with those white lines and then that green. And now I'm starting with the blue again. Using the same blue that I started with for my sky, okay, kind of that darker blue, filling in those spots with dark, dark blue, making sure that I follow the pattern of the lines as I go, like with my water rings and where it was straighter, I went straight. I'm always looking to the shape and direction of my line so I can also use my colored pencil in the shape and direction of those lines. Then I'm going back with a really, really light blue and filling in some of those spots and adding color on top of the blue that I started with to kind of mix it all together because water does mix. Then I'm going in with my white and getting in some of those white highlighted areas to reflect those clouds that were in the sky. Still haven't done my swan yet, but making sure that all of it is white where it needs to be, including those rings around the swan. Going back in with my dark blue just to strengthen that dark blue around the swan because we don't want our swan to blend in with the white around it. So we want to make sure that we have our strong blues ready to go. Filling in the reflection with that dark sepia again. Then also using my blue to go over it so it looks like it's moving as the swan moved. And we should be about done here. Now we're going to start filling in our swan with our white, filling in the head and neck. Going back to that blue just to make sure again that it's nice and pronounced where the swan is. Filling in that body, following the line of the wing and the shape of the body. And then the shape of that tail going over that sepia brown so it has a nice shadow. From here, what we are going to do, we want to check to make sure that everything is good to go. So we have our horizon line, we got our beak, we're filling in our darker spots again just to make sure that they're nice and pronounced. And we're making sure that our water is good to go with those darker colors. And we take a step back and then like and subscribe. Thanks, everybody.